because, or the highlights that we have going on right now. We have skate park repairs that have been happening for almost 2 weeks now. We've had a lot of volunteers coming out, and I've been checking in with them almost daily. The past 2 days I wasn't able to, but every afternoon they got some big, they had to cut out some damage and then pour, and now they just added a obstacle. They poured that today. They had been working on the form for the past several days, and that obstacle was made possible by Sojourners and Skate Jam. So whenever they had 2 fundraisers over the past year, then they donated those funds to be able to make that obstacle happen. So that was really exciting. And then I know everybody is dying to know about the pool, so I'll hit on that. Our count today was up to 30 guards. We did have 2 interviews, or 1 interview, and that we put forward the recommendation to hire, so that should get us up to 31. We have another interview coming up as well, so we are still hiring guards. There's not really a cap that we're looking at. We're working on, we had 9 wrap up training, their certification training on Tuesday, and then we have, it's either 8 or 9 off the top of my head. I didn't print off my sheet, that are in training right now that will wrap up on Saturday. So assuming they all get certified, we're definitely in a stronger staff-wise position than we were this time last year. And yeah, we got health department checked off today. So they came and inspected our pools, and we passed, and that was really exciting. So that was definitely one step closer to being able to open. The pickleball and tennis court project, we're waiting on the bid documents to review them before it goes out to bid and see if we need to make any adjustments on that, and kind of like what our expectations are. And I'm waiting on design information about the West State Street bathrooms. Soccer, something that happened in between last time and this time is that we were able to get a right of entry permit onto part of Ohio University's driving range. So we've been working with the university on that. The goal is that we're working towards a lease, but in the interim, we have a right of entry, which means that we were able to put our adult soccer league on those fields, or make fields on that space. We had a meeting today with AOSO, the university, and city to kind of troubleshoot some more short-term and long-term goals that we all have. So that's moving forward and continuing to move forward. We are wrapping up all of our, school-related programming, after-school childcare, as the school ends, and we will be ramping up with our camp and our summer activities. In beginning of June is when the camp begins. I think that's about the quickest that I can kind of put everything out there. So I will, if anybody have any questions or they want me to speak to something else, let me know.
Brandon, I have 2 quick ones.
Got 5 minutes.
Yeah, Catherine, I've got 2 quick ones. As I'm sure you anticipated when the Facebook post hit today in terms of the pool and passing the certification, or not certification, the licensing, whatever, health department, whoever it was a good thing. You can imagine text, emails, phone calls, and social media erupted. And the question everyone's asking, there are 2 questions here. Best case scenario, when do you anticipate opening the pool? And the second question, and you kind of hinted this with lifeguards, if we were to open today, obviously we're not, but if we were to open today, do we have enough guards to staff the pool from 11 to 8 or 12 to 8, whatever, 7 days a week?
We are going to release that information next week.
Which part?
Both. Both of those questions will be answered next week.
Anybody have any other questions about anything other? And then for new members too, Catherine had sent out an update, so you can look that in your email. So I know a lot of the stuff she was going over. It's like, can you keep the numbers? There's a really great update with everything going on. I did have another question. So the pickleball, where does that put us as far as like reviewing the documents and like putting that bid out? I guess, how does that work? What's the timeline for that?
The timeline that we discussed with BDT was that it will likely take, with all of the different projects going on and all the different folks, probably be able to put it out to bid in late summer. So we were thinking and hoping maybe in July, maybe late July. And then the bid process I think it's the minimum is 2 weeks, but it also depends on who all is bidding. And so hopefully we get some good bids in there during that time frame, so that we don't have to, continue to push it. But that would put us at, hopefully in an ideal world, being able to accept a bid in late summer, early fall, and then being able to move forward from there. So the, ideal, again, depending on how it all works, as far as who is awarded the bid, who all bids, and then construction timeline, because asphalt will have to be poured at some point, and asphalt in this area, they stop pouring in later November. So depending on how far we get with that, if we're able to get everything done, asphalt poured before the plant shut down, then we would probably be in pretty good shape. But I'm hoping that we can get tennis courts and pickleball courts open and playable by late spring, early summer next year, if we're on this trajectory. And that's given nothing crazy happens.
Sure. Sure.
All right, I got like 2 minutes before I need to go and see how this concert's going. That's another one. We've got the concert series that's happening all summer, third Thursdays, May, June, July. So if you miss it this Thursday, you can always come next time.
What time does that end?
6 to 8, so you all can still make it. We're expeditious. Music will start for this one probably about 6:30 or 6:45. So we'll have Boys of the Hawk here until 8.
Okay.
And there's food trucks.
May I have any questions, any comments or anything? All right, thanks, Catherine. Appreciate it.
Awesome. Thank y'all. Sorry I couldn't be there, and welcome to the new members. I look forward to meeting you all in person next time. Bye.
All right, see ya. Okay. I wanted to see, what was that? Okay. I didn't know if anybody needed to add anything to the agenda. You may have anything that they weren't able to send in before we. No? Okay. Well, welcome new members. I thank you for coming. I guess I just kind of wanted to have us introduce ourselves to you guys, and then if you want to tell us a little bit, so I can, Travis, do you want to start? Maybe tell us how long you've been on the committee, and how long you've been on the committee, maybe some of your interests, and then what you like about being in this space, if that makes sense.
I'm Travis Gatling. To be honest with you, I don't know how many years.
And I don't know the answer to when I started either.
So that's 6 years total. Wow. So yeah, about 6 years. So, my interest, of course, is many things dealing with recreation, but specifically with the arts. I'm currently the director of the School of Dance at Ohio University, and here to kind of support all the initiatives of the board, but also with a specific interest in the arts. I'm Brandon Thompson. I'm the chair of the committee, and longer than Travis. I don't know when I started, but I think I'm the longest been here. Has it been 6 years? It's really? I don't know. Anyway, I can look it up. And my interests, so I play ultimate frisbee. I'm a local here, so I also DJ. So I really like music and art.
And what I like about the space, I really like seeing the potential what Athens has. So there's a lot of things that flow through here. You know, the pool, recreation, you know, activities, childcare. Like, we touched so many different things, and it's really interesting to see how that's communicated to the public, but also to the city, and how, you know, the discussions we have here really take effect. You know, like we just talked about pickleball, you know, the pool. Like, there's a lot of things that happen in this space, and I think there's a lot of good potential. I think there's a lot of people who have a negative view of how the city does things, but they don't really know how it works. You know, it's really neat to see like us in this space to be like, hey, actually, they are listening. There are people who are out there and being able to advocate for things. So.
Nice. Daniel Brown, about the same.
Yeah.
Probably 6 years. I have a background in wildlife, so parks are important to me, as well as recreation. As art is too. I don't have the background, but I do appreciate it, and I feel like one thing I've noticed that's nice in the past years is we've had more murals and things like that go up. So in the pocket park, which actually I had lunch at with my daughters a couple weeks ago. It was pretty sweet, down by the armory. So
It's a great spot.
yeah, but yeah, I feel like welcome, first of all, to you guys, and you have the ability to listen to people and see what they want, what they would like. Pickleball was a pretty good example. At least for me, I reached out and asked different people, so that's kind of nice to be involved in that way. But I think this is what you make it. So, you know, if you have your interests, it's great. We have a good diversity, so, you know, follow those, and I think you'll be all right. Thank you.
And then we have our city council rep, but also former chair. So Al, I don't know if you want to talk about your experience of being on the board and, you know, answer those questions if you want. So,
Sure,
I know
yeah.
you're in a different role than that.
Yeah, now that we've got a full complement of members, I get out from behind that, for the dais there. I'm Alan Swank. I am the liaison from City Council to this board, which means it's a two-way street. I bring things from council to you, and I take things from you to council. I was on the board for 3 years. My interests are extremely varied. People often pigeonhole others, and you can't pigeonhole me. I'm really mad right now because I missed out on getting good seats for Eric Clapton this morning because I was slow on the computer. On the flip side, last night we're playing golf in the OU Golf League, and I'm an extremely competitive person and missed a 4-foot birdie putt on number 9 for what would have been my best score of the year. So I'm all over the board. Arts, parks, recreation. In fact, we're just now scheduling a trip for early June to take our 3 granddaughters to Mammoth Cave. And we're weighing, do we want to do the 4-hour trip with 27,000 steps, or do we want to do the 2-hour tour? Either way, we'll have a good time. One thing, and I need to put this out there to the board, one thing that I hope this board can continue to do is to have open and honest discussion on a variety of topics. And sometimes those discussions will be difficult because you're here to represent the whole city. In fact, really more than the city, because City Council recently changed the rules for membership that you no longer have to live in Athens Township. You can live anywhere in Athens County and be a member of this board. And I think that's extremely important because last time I went to Coolville or the last time I went to Albany, they didn't have the recreational facilities that we have here. So people from the county, all over the county, come here and take advantage of the facilities that we have. So, but you're here to represent those people, and I would encourage you to listen. And you're going to hear some interesting things. And now as appointed people, you're going to get some phone calls. In fact, I just got one before I left home, and I'm not even on the board anymore. What are you going to do about X? So please listen to those people, and it might take the philosophy that my father, who's now deceased but was retired Kroger manager, believed in. He did not believe that the customer was always right. He did not believe that the customer was always right. But his philosophy was the customer is always worth listening to. And I think if you follow that, we'll have good input and you'll continue to have great discussions.
Thanks, Alan. Let's go.
How about these people?
Yeah, no, that's I was trying to decide what order we go in if we go this way, but let's go by what's written. So we can do Ash, then Rebecca, then Andrea, which makes no sense how we're sitting up here, but you know what? It's written down, so.
Awesome. Ash Allenson. So I'm an assistant professor of instruction at Ohio University in the coaching education program. I'm excited to join the board, and it's an honour to be here. Probably can notice from my accent that I'm not from Athens. So I've lived here for 5 years. I came over from England in 2017. Recently married to a local Athenian, Whitney Allen. So it's awesome to kind of be embedded into the community. And my kind of passion is kind of obviously educating coaches in youth sport, and obviously I work also at the collegiate level at OU, working with a women's soccer team. My passion is soccer. Obviously coming from England, I was an ex-professional soccer player. But since coming to the States, I've kind of broadened my horizons with different sports. And I think there's an incredible opportunity in Athens County and Athens Township to try and develop the individuals that are here, and my kind of passion is to try and help the board kind of with the youth sport process, and try to give some advice and some assistance in what my everyday role is at the university. And if I can help parent coaches and volunteer coaches and things like that, and educate them in a way to make kind of the youngsters that are playing them sports enjoying it and get something from it, I think that's a great vehicle for them to set them life skills on as they move forward, and that's kind of my kind of passion.
Cool. Rebecca?
Yeah, so my name is Rebecca. I recently started working as a school-based therapist. My background is I have a master's degree in social work, and my bachelor's degree is in exercise science. So I've kind of always had a passion like health wellness. I'm an avid hiker, very into parks, and just kind of like all recreation. I think like one of my main like focuses is wanting to make sure like improving access and affordability of programs, and just like trying to remove barriers to people that like want to use services that might be that might not be currently able to, and just like kind of thinking through that lens. I feel like a lot of people I've talked to, like they're like, I want to do these programs for my kids, but we can't like afford them, and like just a lot of those concerns. So I guess like kind of wanting to remove barriers for people, for more people to access different programs. Yeah.
Andrea?
I'm Andrea Lewis. I've lived in Athens since came here to OU in the 90s. I have a degree in art. My background is in art, but that's not what I do for a living. I am a mentor and advisor to student media on campus at Ohio University. I'm the director of student media. I think my interests in being on this board kind of run the gamut. I was a member of AMAC when it started back in 08-ish. And when they first started the Percent for Art city program here, I helped work with that. So I love the raising the visibility of our creative folks here in town. We have a rich culture, artistic culture and creative culture here in Athens. I think one of the things that's most interesting to me about serving on this board is that those of us who see on social media, these big voices that think that the programs that the city offers and the parks and the resources are like everybody knows about it. It's really a very small portion of our community, I think, that's actually using them to their biggest potential and that know about them. A prime example, a friend of mine was in my driveway the other day, said, "You told me you lived by Sells Park." She's like, "Sells Park's over by the credit union." And I was like, "Nope, it's right there." So, and she's lived here for more than a decade. So, not realizing where some of these gems are, and she's using it from another access point, is really interesting in raising the visibility of those little gems that we have, and making the most of them.
Awesome. Anybody have anything else they want to add? I know sometimes when you hear other people speak, you're like, oh, I should have said that.
Oh, well, I have my daughter's a 3-year returning lifeguard, so always at the pool, and someone in my family is using a facility probably 3 or 4 times a week.
Okay.
So,
I'm gonna tap you for that. So awesome. Well, yeah. Thank you, everybody. And yeah, this was the first time we actually did an application. So thank you for filling that out. You know, a few people said this was a little longer, but you know, we wanted to have a kind of vetting process, and it went to the mayor, and you know, he agreed with the decisions here. So we're just happy y'all, you know, dedicating your time. Which leads us to our next thing, which is our friend Travis will be leaving. So moving on to greener pastures, you know. But he had told me earlier when we were looking for all of y'all to be on the board that he probably would be leaving in June. And so I need someone to join me on the nominating committee to basically go through the applications, and any number of people to join in that. Basically what we do is we'll probably go through the past. We can open it up again to see if anybody else wants to add. We had a number of other great applications that didn't get selected, so we could look through those and see, but don't really want to do that by myself. So I didn't know if anybody would like to join that. It's not super task, but basically that group would then send their recommendation to this space, and then if we all approve, we would send that to the mayor, and the mayor can either approve or deny that. So
I can help you.
want to do that? Okay.
Yeah, you could have up to 3 and be okay.
Yeah. Dan, anybody else want to join? And you don't have to decide right now, but that'll be something, I'd like to have that in place so we can have, you know, when Travis, and Travis, you may or may not be at the June, or you may be in Jamaica, is that my understanding?
It depends whether we change the
Okay,
date.
okay. So, yeah, if we could maybe do that, so, and I'll email everybody about that, so. Yeah, last time Travis and I met, we did the recommendation. It probably took about an hour. You know, we just went through the applications and had a discussion, so, okay. So something else I want to bring up. So this was when Catherine Ann became director, she attended an AMAC meeting, and they had talked about wanting more crossover between APR and AMAC. And so in the past, I had gone to some AMAC meetings just because I was just personally interested in what they were doing, but there was no formal connection between the two. But they would like to have hopefully an annual meeting, maybe twice a year, where we all get together. But they'd like to have one of their members come over here, and one of our members go over there. I wanted to throw out 2 ideas and kind of see, now that we have full group, if it's something that everybody would like to try. I think their meetings are, I'm not sure what the date is, I can look it up.
Second Wednesday of the month.
Thank you, Councilman. And so it's possible one of us could go. They're very interesting. And so the reason I bring this up is, APR, there's an art component, and AMAC is connected to that. So knowing what they're doing, a lot of times what AMAC does might be one of the facilities that we're over. But sometimes I think having one person go there, that person has all the knowledge, and then they just, if they're not in the meeting here, then it's just lost. But if all of us are going, or a few of us are going, just to kind of see, and I think it makes us a little closer, because we do, like today, our director, Catherine Ann, is at an AMAC event, and so there is a connection. But I kind of wanted to see how the group felt about that. I wanted to raise that up, and just initial thoughts about that, of, if you like one idea or the other, so.
So are you saying rotate, like
Possibly.
everybody attend once
Possibly,
in a while?
if we can, or if someone really just wants to be that person. If I don't know which is better. I see positive, negatives to both, so I just kind of wanted to put that out there. But hopefully, trying to make that more formal, because that was something the director had asked about in the beginning, and I think I do see a lot of value in that, having us some representation there, because the art that they're using is many times in the facilities that we're talking about. So.
I think it'd be a good idea. I mean, I like the idea of all of us getting together, but definitely at least having someone attending. I would be interested personally. So.
Okay. Yeah, this isn't a sign up. That's not what I'm asking right now. I'm just, are you even into it? Because if it's like, no, not really people, we just find one person and then they can go. And it would probably be 4 times a year, maybe, something like that. Just show up and then talk about what we're doing in this space. Because we used to have, we've had so many different setups for this space or whatnot for meetings, but having a better connection there, I think, because there's a new chair over there, Chelsea Moorhan, and so I know she's trying to do different things there, and trying to make more of a connection there. So.
I'd be open to attending.
Okay.
Sometimes during the academic year, Wednesdays are bad.
Okay.
What time are those meetings on Wednesdays?
Like 5:30, I think. Let me see if I can see on the website. Doesn't say here. I think they're 5:30. Yeah, second Wednesday of the month. So it could be something, you go once a year, or something like that, So, am I hearing kind of interest, Rebecca?
Sure.
Okay. Yeah, I just wanted to raise that up because that's been something it's been on our thing. We just haven't really locked that in, but like they're doing their third Thursday art events right now, so which will lead us to the next thing. So Catherine Ann will be at these events the third Thursday, which I think if we were in that meeting when AMAC selected, I would say, hey, wait a minute, that's our meeting day. Let's not do that. So I think that kind of ties into how it'd be great if we were in that space. But I wanted to see what everybody thought about potentially moving the June and July dates, maybe a week forward or a week after, so we could accommodate that, and then have Catherine Ann be here because she did answer questions for 10 minutes. It is great to have the director here the whole time, and everybody has time to talk about what's going on. So, but I don't know what everybody's schedule's like, so I don't know if it made sense to change the time or do a week later or something like that. So,
Brandon, one thing I would suggest, if this is to accommodate the director's attendance, you might start with her.
Yeah, well, she and I talked, because she brought it to my attention at first. I was like, okay, because we were trying to figure out even this meeting, and I was like, well, how can we make this work? And then we figured out the Zoom, but yeah, I can reach out. I kind of wanted to see if we could even do it, and then talk to her, and then probably start an email. It would be great if we could just bump it a week, and do the fourth Thursday if everybody's around. But I don't know. I wanted to kind of raise that here. I know when you send emails out, not everyone sees at the same time, and so.
Is there anything that prevents you from moving it a week? Are you required to have it on the third Thursday?
No, we've done different days, so it's just easy, I think, for people to remember. But we could, as far as I understand, I'll clear this city, but we've moved days the week of because of different reasons in the past. So, yeah, we could do different times, different days. I don't know. Are there better days in the week for people, or is Thursday better around this time?
Fine.
For me, a week before then the June 16th meeting would work. Because if we push it the following Thursday, the 23rd, I'll still be away.
Okay.
So I'll be out through the 16th through the 24th. But I don't have to be here.
Oh, gotcha.
I'm also
I mean,
away
I say that.
You're away.
on that 23rd, yeah.
23rd,
Yeah,
okay.
I live back to England for 2 weeks, so
Okay.
I'm
week
going
before
too.
would be great.
You're gone 23rd, okay. Because I'm about to say, I think I'm gone on the 9th. So,
Can
but
we
I
just move our meeting up an hour?
yeah, maybe it might, maybe Wednesday the
Yeah, that's a
15th.
good idea.
How's that sound right now for everybody? Wednesday the 15th of June, sorry.
No good.
No good? Okay.
But I like Andrea's thing. Can we move it up an hour?
Oh, up and out. Yeah, we could do that.
Or back an hour, like 4:30 to 5.
4:30 to 5. I like that a lot more than anything. So keeping that on the.
I know the guys back
17th.
there would like that.
Yeah, 4:30 to, or even, is 4 too early for everybody? Does that
I
work?
can't get
Yeah, okay.
there.
Just want to make sure.
I work in Hawking County, so
Gotcha,
I get
okay.
off at 4 and then
And zoom down here, okay.
Yeah.
So.
I could do 4:30, like I'd get here.
Right on.
like-
Just drive into the meeting. Okay, let's see if we can do 4:30. And this is if, assuming what Catherine, I know she did say her responsibilities are less for the next two. Like this one, she's giving keynote speech or something like that, and so had to be there. But that would be great. So from 4:30 to 5:30 or 6, and then we could go to the event. So okay, I will check that, and then let's see how that works, and then we can check on July. So okay, and you'll get an email about that. Okay. Anybody have any other questions about that? This is another thing. This is the 5-year plan. So I just wanted to bring this up because I don't think since I've been on here we've had a 5-year plan. I think Alan, you were part of the retreat thing, right? And so there's been, I guess for the new members, there's been this push and pull of who we are. It's been, are we this, are we that? And One of the things that I think it's kind of not been there is, I think the furthest we've probably looked, and Travis, Dan, Allen, let me know, is probably like us looking at the pool from like maybe 18 months out or something like that. I don't feel like we've ever had like a, okay, 2 years, 3 years, 5 years plan of big projects, if that makes sense. You know, seeing how everything fits. And I kind of wanted to bring that up and see just some thoughts about that, what people think and how we can get there, because I think that is something, somebody mentioned potential. Maybe you talked about potential. Somebody talked about potential today. And I feel like that's something that could really help this space of really identifying that for the department. Because I feel a lot of times the department is very much day to day, and we're kind of here to be in the community, looking at what the community needs and stuff like that. Like something I talked with another person from NPR about, like a survey tool, something we haven't done. I don't know if APR actually does that, but like how much community data they're pulling about other things other than the pool. But yeah, I just wanted to raise that up. That's it. So at the bottom of Catherine Ann's update, she has like a list of things she was hoping that the space would use, you know, and one of them is that. And so I kind of wanted to bring that, you know, for your all's first meeting, and, you know, just to kind of bring more attention to that, because I think that is something we could just utilize. So.
In November of 2019, we had a retreat in the basement of Arts West, and it was a half day. And one of the things that we began to explore was a 5-year plan. Terry Moore had contacted the director at Upper Arlington, who has expertise in conducting these plans. And of course, I said November of 2019. We all know what happened 4 short months later. So that thing got put on the shelf. She had actually gotten approval for the funding to do this study and this plan, which would include surveys and all of that. And of course, we had a change in directorship last summer. So we had started the process, but it's just been sitting on the shelf since November of 2019. So it's not a new concept by any means, but I think it's a worthy concept, as Brandon has so correctly articulated. I know council has several members that are huge into planning. Not that they would participate in this, but they would be very happy to hear that this committee is developing a plan for the city, for our resources, and for our citizens.
Yeah, and connected to that, you know, is the master plan, which, you know, is being updated, is my understanding. And so how can we help the city in that process? And something I guess I also want to share this, because this gets confusing. So I got an email from Councilman Crowell about this, so I forgot to mention this. So if you see at the very top of this, it says the City of Athens Arts, Park, and Recreation Advisory Committee. That's not who we are. So we are the Recreation Advisory Board. And I think there is something in council to change the wording. Is that right, Alan? Or is that? Well, I know, or there's discussion, right?
We've gone back and forth on this. And Andrea, you know this better than anyone, having been a part of AMAC. Arts, Parks, and Recreation, whatever you want to call it, has an arts building. So it encompasses all, in my opinion. Mm-hmm. But this has been going on now for about 9 months, and we need a definitive answer, clarification, and perhaps since you're all appointed by the administration, that's where we start with that clarification. But we do have an arts building. A very good one, dedicated to the arts, from little kids coming out of West Elementary all the way up to programming to senior citizens. So, you know, I've always looked at it as arts, parks, and recreation. In fact, that's how we do our agenda. In fact, if you look at the website, the new logo says Arts, Parks, and Recreation that we just did within the last 6 months. So I'd like to have that clarified. Because just a moment ago, we talked about cooperative efforts. So I think there's a little, I won't call it confusion, but it's not very well defined right now.
Yeah, and I'm glad you brought that, because it's sometimes some people will read Recreation Advisory Board and just think that we just talk about sports, mm-hmm. you know, and that is not what we obviously do, and y'all know that now. But, you know, I think that sometimes does hinder people who would even apply to this and whatnot. But there has been some discussion that AMAC does the arts component, and we're just really recreation. And some of these way these things were written I think at different times too. So like the code and everything like that of just like what encompasses, you know, because at one point it was just recreation. We just had soccer fields and over on East State Street before the community center was built and stuff like
Got a
that.
hangar.
The hangar, yeah, the hangar. So I was trying to think of their thing. So it really was just recreation, but now we have this skate park, Arts West. We've got the pool, all the parks and stuff like that. And so I think getting clarification is too strong a word, but making sure everything's in alignment, because I think when people see different things, they think they may not pass information to us, and then we're not in the loop on certain things. And having that clarified, if it's just the name or if it's the charge or any of that stuff, just so we can work, because that's what our retreat was for. Trying to figure out, okay, are we doing this? Are we focusing? And like you said, Alan, like we have Arts West. There's arts component, and AMAC, I think, in my opinion, has a slightly different charge. It's more arts in the community, which also could encompass arts at our facilities, whatnot. But they're not necessarily advocating for the arts component of APR, whereas we are advocating for the parks, the recreation, and arts of this department. Anyway, if that makes sense. I know it's clear as mud, but anyway, I kind of want to share that out, because that happens a lot, and I've talked to two different people who've said, hey, I think AMAC does this piece, and I was like, okay, I understand what you're saying, but I think there's a gap between, I think, for the arts component, but also I think sometimes the park as well. But anyway, that's also where the 5-year plan kind of comes in, of knowing what lane we should be in, so we can fully advocate for that. Because one of the things is that is great about this space is we advocate for this department. So the city will have a budget, and they will say this is what we need, and they'll say this is how much the pool, and we can come back and say, hey, you know what, this is not enough. We sit in these meetings and we work with it, and that's something. Like I think of a few things. The stoplight that you had, Alan, the stoplights that they put on East State Street that nobody could see. If anybody remember that? You could drive on East State Street, and when it turned, was it red or green? It just looked invisible because of the lens or whatever. If you're sitting in a spot, and the only reason I knew, because every time I turned left, it was just looked like the light turned off, and that's something that we wrote a letter and said, hey, this is this could be a danger. And so advocating like that is, it's a smaller thing, but there will be bigger things that I think this space could have. But really, yeah, I wanted to highlight that 5-year plan, and maybe revisiting those documents from that retreat, so we can really and getting some more information and clarification from council and the mayor and the administration of what they'd really like to see in this space, because sometimes I think it shifts, and it also changes just with the membership. We've got a bunch of new people with different energy and ideas, and so but yeah. So does anybody have any questions or comments about that? I don't know.
If I may, I really do hope that we push for the word arts to be a part of this, for obvious reasons, of course, my personal interest, but also when the mayor invited me to be a part of this, it was the mention of the word arts that said, oh, okay, I'll consider this. If it was just the Recreation Advisory Board, I would have turned it down. Because immediately, like you said, recreation equals sports, which is fine, and they need just as much support. But also, as Andrea mentioned, we have a vibrant community of creative thinkers. And so I'm thinking in terms of inclusion. So I think that, and now that we're talking about a partnership with AMAC, even more so. So that's as far as moving forward with the new board members, I hope that you really push for that.
Yeah, other thoughts, questions, or any new board members? Just hearing this, I'm sure, I don't know what you expected coming to this meeting today, but we kind of want to bring everything together, because this does feel like a really exciting time. We had 4 of us for so long, and now we're at full, and we're trying to just in a trajectory, and a lot of exciting things are happening. So
I think it would be nice to see the AMAC's charge, because my recollection of what it was is very different than what this is, in terms of role and programming and things like that, of what their main focus is, and to kind of revisit that side by side with what this committee does, to kind of make the case for where the involvement really needs to be.
Yeah, and I think, with us going to those meetings, we can say, you know what, we're not talking about this, you should do that, and oh yeah, we will, just so, but right now we're not having that conversation because we're not there, and so, I think that'd be something great to have. So, but yeah, anybody have any thoughts?
I mean, I've always thought of it as arts park and recreation, so I think it would be a disappointment to me, and if we have the name that's up there now. I mean, it definitely, because yeah, recreation is a large part, but we have a lot of parks, we have a lot of art going on, and I mean, I would probably rethink what I'm even doing here if we're the recreation advisory board. So that's just my thought.
Okay. You have any thoughts or anything? I don't want to. It's okay if you don't.
I don't
So.
know. I think applying for it, I definitely thought of all three.
Okay.
And like, I think that's part of the reason I applied too. But yeah.
Okay. Yeah, and that was the same thing when I was approached for this. It was, hey, you're into art, but also sports. And so I was, yeah, that sounds neat. Do this. And because I love sports, but also like appreciate art. So I was like, oh, we can talk about both. And so, and I'm not saying that's what's happening, but that I've had some communications with some people from council stuff about that. And I've heard, say, AMAC does this, you should more focus on this. And I don't think it's ill-intentioned. I think it's just, there might be some confusion on what everyone's doing, and so maybe if we can pull it all together, just so we can, be spending our time together wisely, because we're all volunteers.
Well, you don't leave a gap.
Yeah.
Like that's the thing. I think that's what I was trying to say is their role is different, and it would leave a gap if it wasn't included here.
Yeah. I think like a good example would be like they're working on a parking garage art thing, which is amazing and should happen, but that's not under APR's purview, and so it supports art, but it doesn't actually. There's programming I think that sometimes gets missed with APR, and we have a budget we've got to do, and so if we're not advocating, like we're advocating for certain sports and whatnot in this space, but if that's not happening over there, there's a gap there, and so so I think we could maybe shore that up a little bit. But.
So, in terms of the 5-year plan, and we may or may not know this, do you know whether or not that will involve bringing in like an outside research firm or anything like that to collect data? And I'm just curious.
With the previous administration, that was going to be the plan.
Okay.
Of course, we have a new director, so I think we defer to that conversation with the director.
Okay.
I mean, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds like it would be a lot of.
With your input, obviously.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Right.
Any other questions, comments about that? Okay. Yeah, so this is community engagement plan. I wanted to also, this is connected to that, but I wanted to raise this up with the new group of, I know I'm guilty of this, but just want to remind us that, we're here to represent the community. And if you're talking to your friends, which is fine, but like, if you're only talking to the few people and then coming to this space and just giving your opinion, you're not doing this space any good, if that makes sense. We really should be, one of the things I've had some conversations, this space really should be us amplifying APR, because like the mayor appointed us to be here, so when he has questions about these issues, there's 7 of us here, and then there's different opinions, and we can flow that information to him, and then he can make decisions. But if we're just giving our opinions, not talking to the community, that's not doing it. So I wanted to see if we could maybe in the next few months come up with ways to do that. One of the things that happened right before the pandemic was that women's in sports event. Which was, I think, Alan, you were part of that, right? And so that was a great example, I think, of this space connecting with the community to bring in outside opinions, and maybe if we can identify who those spaces are and whatnot, and then maybe have like the survey tool or something like that. But really think about that as well, because it is really easy just to come to these meetings and maybe read up on a few things, but not really be engaged. We are, by virtue of everyone who applied for this, we're engaged citizens. We've seen what everyone's doing, but it's easy to be like, well, I've done enough. I've talked to a few people. Yeah, my friends don't like that. Like I don't know about that. And then it's like, no, there's so many people. So trying to think about how we can do that if it's bringing in different groups. At one point, this space we used to bring the supervisor each space and APR in our meetings, and then they would just talk about what they had, so I know Kevin came in, Kevin Sherlock, who does grounds, Emily Beveridge, and they would talk about their space, and then everybody on this board actually got to meet these people too. So when you see them in the community and stuff like that, you feel more comfortable, just so it's not just like, Catherine Ann, and then that's it. So, but trying to, I think about that, folding that into the 5-year plan, I think would be really helpful, because, like Rebecca, you talked about equity. I think that's something, everyone on this board is interested in making sure that we're hitting, making sure that what we have is equitable. You're talking about, people not being able to afford certain things, and so that should be doing more surveys and whatnot with that, because I think a lot of it is just discussion, and so without the actual data behind it, like we should be, because I was looking at our charge, and we're supposed to send an annual report of activities to the mayor at the end of the year, and as far as I've been concerned, I don't think we've ever done that, so it'd be nice to maybe have a few things on there like that, maybe some data that we're interested in, what we hear, so we can compare things, because I'm not sure we've had a strong survey tool to compare year to year with changing trends, if that makes sense, and so if we're just going on what we know, I don't know the age of this panel, but it doesn't seem like it's super young. I'm 42, so like there are young people here, so we might be missing a whole swath of the community as well, so making sure we're pulling it, but also on the other end, our senior citizens and whatnot. So, but yeah, I just want to bring that up and see just kind of thoughts, or if anybody's, done anything like that in other spaces, their boards have been doing that's worked well, if that makes sense.
Well, I don't know moving forward what the platform will be, but if we continue with this platform, I mean, could we very well invite community members to sit in those seats?
Oh, it's open.
It's open?
Yeah, anybody can walk in here right now, and then there are, get up 3 minutes, talk, whatever.
Yeah,
This is open to the public.
So, yeah. So maybe we should push that a little more, so.
So you're thinking like an open invite or just open call?
Open invite. I mean, I think you would probably have to have specific meetings for that, because if you have a set agenda where you need to, with some action items, and then you have people wanting to bring up new items, then it can get confusing. But if you set maybe or a certain time, period of that meeting, the first 30 minutes or something like that. So,
That's a good idea.
At the beginning of the meeting, when I asked Catherine Ann about the pool, where that came from was from the Athens Community Center Facebook page. It was released about 3 hours ago that we had passed the inspection or whatever, and immediately, particularly parents of school-aged children whose last day is next Thursday, are looking at childcare starting Friday, and everybody wants to know when's the pool going to open, and when and how long is it going to be open each day. And that's why I asked those questions, because it's already coming out there. My point in all that is, one source of information, whether you like Facebook or not, is just go to that Athens Community Center Facebook page, and you'll get plenty of information from interested persons in the community.
Yeah, that's definitely true. Yeah, I think having those different subjects would be great. Yeah, like pool or something like that. And I was surprised. I'm just gonna put this out there. I was surprised no one who joined had anything to say about the pool, because there's a number of people who talked about the pool on Facebook. Nobody applied. So I was hoping, from last year, that somebody who, because a lot of people had opinions on how to fix it or whatever happened, but they didn't actually apply. So, anyway, a lot of people are on Facebook saying
we
things,
had some experts.
Yeah, there were 30 experts. We should have done this, but nobody applied. But that is, one of the things. Maybe to your point, Andrew, people don't know. If you're not in tune, I'm very in tune with the Facebook and stuff, so I see that. But trying to elevate that so people do feel connected, so they know there's a space that this. I do know. I didn't even know this committee existed before I was invited to it, and I'm from here, and so I think trying to elevate that as well so people can do that. But I really like that idea of like an open call of like topics or something, please come and let us know what you like about this space, and if it's like a specific location. I do like using this space, but I also liked, at one point we talked about having our meetings in our different locations so we could see it. It'd be Arts West, it would be a community center, it could be in the park or something like that. But I do, this being recorded. So I guess I'll share, this is being recorded because we don't have a secretary. and we don't have a recorder yet. So we're working on that. I'm going to push all these minutes through Otter program or whatever, so I can transcribe it. So our next meeting, we should have all that approved. But yeah, this is all record, so it's out there instead of, because there's some meetings, there's a lot of good stuff here. So, that'll be helpful. But yeah, what other thoughts on community engagement, I guess, other things that you've seen that have worked or didn't work? That's also helpful. So.
I think people may not know when the meeting is.
Yeah.
That's the other.
When's the meeting?
Do you like the idea of having meetings in other spaces? Like, I'm just thinking, like, the West State Street Pavilion, there are already so many families there for, like, practices or things. Like, it'd be easy for them to, like, hop over and join for a little bit, or, like, I don't know, or to, like, different locations. Like that idea.
And it is helpful for us to be seen, like, instead of meeting council and then disappearing, into the darkness. So, yeah, I just, because then we meet other people and then they know we're approachable. I think that's the important thing of, because so many people will go directly to administration, think that's the only way, and, they can get more traction, I think, in this space, because we have more time, because we're focused just on this. But that was just something for that location. I think that would be, so I could go either way. I'd also just don't like being recorded, so this is always just like something that but I like that it's there because for those people who, if you have a question about city council, it's always recorded, and I think that's a super important tool for people to see who's talking, what's out there. So, okay, sure.
Yeah, with a limited press, it's very important. You can go back all the way to 2012 and see our meetings.
Yeah, and I think that's super, super important and helpful. So. What's the meeting? So I've got kind of maybe an open call or something like that, and maybe I'm thinking one of the things was maybe even like a separate meeting. Not that all the members are required, but something on specific topics. Thinking of our thinking of the facilities that are used by a lot, the community center, the pool, Arts West, and some of the art spaces. Maybe having like open discussions or something like that. Where people can come in and just tell us what they like or don't like, about that. So. All right. Any other discussion, questions comments on that? Any other items? Anybody have anything else they wanted to share? Okay. Can I get a motion to adjourn? Looks like we did it under an hour.
Record time.
Wow. This space has been known to go for
We did it for you.
Yeah.
I think the nominating committee picked 3 good people. They spurred us to action today.
Yeah.
1 hour.
I appreciate that. It was a good meeting too, because we've had just hour, it'd be 7:10, and it's like we got to get out of here. So.
Yeah.
Awesome. All right. That's it. Thank you, everybody. So
Great.
I'll email everybody about this.